So, most beginner copywriters think that the reason they can't land clients is because they lack some secret outreach method or template. But the actual reason is that their copy is simply dog shit. Like last month, I asked everyone on my email list to send me their copy that they want to get reviewed, whether it's emails, YouTube scripts, sales pages, VSLs, anything. So, in this video, we're going to review some of the submissions and see the three common mistakes most beginner copywriters make and fix some beginner copy. So first we have this YouTube script, we have two intro variations, and then we have the outline for the body section. So for this first intro, there are some tiny fixes that will improve it drastically, and it comes down to fixing the flow and using more specificity. Like in the first line, you say that you're grinding out YouTube, pouring your heart into every upload. Like this wording is very vague. Like what does grinding YouTube even mean? Instead, you want to get specific about it. Something like, let me guess, you spent weeks trying to come up with that one perfect video idea. You spent hours writing the script and editing the video, and then you hit upload, but the results, no views and no subscribers. So now it feels a lot more conversational, it feels real, and that's something that's very important with YouTube, like being specific instead of being vague. One thing you can do to improve this is like read out your script out loud, pretend you're speaking to a friend or speaking to the camera, and see if the language feels natural. Like if you're speaking to a friend, you won't say like, oh, you spent hours grinding YouTube. Like you'd get more specific, like you spent hours writing the script, editing the video. So you want to get specific. And another key thing with YouTube is the flow. Like currently, if you see at all these lines, they are more or less of the same length. There's no variation in the rhythm. Like there's no pattern interrupt, and there's nothing that makes the viewer pay attention. Like this line, which is supposed to be the big payoff, that you found out that 78% of viral videos that they don't follow the typical advice. So this is supposed to be the big reveal, and it just feels monotonous. It doesn't break the pattern. So instead, you can make the payoff, you can make the build up to this payoff a bit more dramatic. Like instead of just saying, oh, I was at the same spot with this many videos, but then I found this thing. Instead, you can break it down into two separate lines. Like I was at the same spot with 87 videos and less than 100 views, ready to quit. But then I discovered something strange. Or something like, but then I discovered something strange. I found this little fact that made me question everything. I found out that 78% of small creators, and then continue from there. So now the reveal is much more dramatic. It makes the viewer pay attention. It makes them think like, what did you discover? Why was it strange? So it's much more impactful instead of just keeping all the lines of the same length and not having any rhythm. And again, in this part, you can add two more examples alongside Beluga. Like whenever you're giving evidence, it's better to have three pieces of evidence instead of just one. Otherwise, the viewer will think, oh, maybe this guy just got lucky. Maybe it works for him, maybe it doesn't work for me. But if you give three or more pieces of evidence, then it feels much more safe to them. They think that, okay, this can work for me too. There's tiny changes that make a huge difference in the hook. The second one is much better. It has more proof, but instead of saying this channel names out loud, you can just show it on the screen during the edit. Like, let me guess, you have seen all the small creators go viral with a single video, and you think they just got lucky, right? Well, not really. So instead of reading the channel names out loud, you can just put it in the edit. Again, here we say that this method, we talk about this method, but before this line there is no mention of any method. We're just assuming that the viewer knows that there is some method, because before this we're just saying that they went against the typical YouTube advice. We're not mentioning any method. So instead of that, we can have a better setup for the method. Like, oh, like you can keep the first lines as it is. Like you have seen this creators go viral and you think they actually got lucky, right? Well, not really. It's because they found this one method and then you can build upon that. Like it's because they found this one secret method that goes against the typical YouTube advice. So now it ties into the second line, that this method is the difference between this and this. So now there's a link between the method line and this line. Also in this body section here, you're trying to build curiosity before giving the payoff. Like you're trying to show them the why before the what, but it feels repeated because we've already made these points in the intro that you don't need to post hundreds of videos and all that. Instead, you can have a different angle in this why section. Like maybe you can give your method a name or turn it into a framework. Like in this video, I'll show you this XYZ framework, or you can thingify it and give it a name, make it a 7-step framework or something that shows the audience what to expect. Or if you just want to build curiosity for the payoff, that you need a good idea, you can say something like, But before we get started, let me ask you a simple question. What's the biggest factor that decides the success of a YouTube video? Is it the editing? Is it the thumbnail? Is it the script? While all those are important, but the most important factor is something that most creators overlook, when in reality they should be spending 70% of their time focusing on this one factor. In fact, here's what the biggest YouTuber on the planet has to say about this. And then you add this Mr. Beast clip.
Started to understand that when I was 19, you realize that the idea is so freaking important. Like, you could theoretically, most YouTubers watching this, you could pull triple the views with half the work if you just had better ideas.
And then you give them the payoff that you need a solid idea. Now in this next script, it's for the productivity self-improvement niche, I guess. The title is How Analog Can Change Your Life Completely. Now it's not a bad title, but the thing with YouTube is it's a replication system. What that means is that there are title and thumbnail formats that have been proven to work. So 80% of the times you want to stick to those proven formats to give your videos the best chance of performing. Because if a format is performing well, YouTube is going to favor that and push your videos more. And the other 20% of the times you can apply your own creativity and test out things. So for this video you can change the title and go for something like how to unfuck your life by going analog, or I went analog for this many days and here's what happened, or change your life with a pen and paper. So these are proven formats that work, so you can model those. Now again, coming to this intro is very vague. Like, if you're struggling because you're not productive, it doesn't hit that hard. It's not specific. You can get much more specific. Like, you plan out your day in advance, but when you sit down to work, you get distracted by notifications, or you know exactly what to do, but 2 hours have passed and you're still sitting there staring at a blank screen. This feels much more relatable for the viewer, instead of just saying you're struggling because you're not productive or something like that. So you want to get specific. This intro, all in all, it is pretty basic. Like, we're making all these claims that I'll help you do this, I'll help you do this, but there's nothing to back up the claim. There's no input bias, no credibility. Like, we can tell something like there's this research paper that backs up this analog system, or I tried it for 100 days and it changed my life. Because currently the audience has no reason to keep watching or believing that you're going to deliver on your claims. It's just like we're using words like a simple, efficient, effective method. We're just using adjectives for the sake of it. Then we have this VSL, and once again, it is very vague. Like, a lot of beginner copywriters, they confuse being vague with building curiosity. Like, we have this first line that, what if I tell you you're one decision away from ending all sufferings? Like, what suffering are we ending, ma'am? Are we ending poverty? Are we bringing world peace? Are we helping someone get over the suffering of a breakup? Like, what is this suffering? And again, from this first 5 lines, it's not clear to me like whether this VSL is about productivity or spirituality or mindset. It's pretty vague. Like, first we talk about ending sufferings, then we talk about not getting distracted, then removing emptiness. Like, remember the concept of one big idea. Like, everyone talks about you want to be clear in your writing, not clever, but we hear this 1,000 times, but most people don't apply it. Then we have this customer bubble section, and then we try to build relatability by going into the story. So the story section is where you can dig deeper, because if you want to build relatability with the reader, you want to exactly paint the picture of what you went through, so they can know that you have gone through the exact same struggles they are going through. Like, explain how you got into that situation, like, and what are the steps you took to get out of it, what are the pains it caused you, and then how you found the solution. Like, did you find it in a book, or during a call, or did it just pop up in your head in a dream? How did you find that breakthrough? Those are the points you want to expand. Then there's like a lot of repetition here. Like, we mentioned these lines that I was at the same point and I took every course. We mentioned it twice. So the biggest problem with this VSL is that it's all over the place, and it's ironic that this VSL is apparently about improving focus, but it fails to focus on that one big idea, and it's just spread all over the place. Like, instead we can simplify it much more and make an outline first, right? If you want, you can start with a curiosity hook, but instead of being vague and ending all suffering, you can be specific with it. Like, if it's around the idea of focus, keep it centered around that. Like, what if I told you that there's one missing piece that's stopping you from living a life of time, location, and financial freedom, of being able to work on things you love with people you love from whenever you want, wherever you want, without having to worry about bills, rent, or grinding 12 hours a day? And you might be thinking this answer is a new productivity system, or a business strategy, or a habit tracker. But my friend, the answer is one simple F word. Because if you're watching this video, I would assume, then after this you can get into the customer bubble section. Like, what are the pains they're going through, what are the problems they're facing, then you can tie it into your own story. Describe what are the pains you were going through. Like you had all these big goals, but you would never take action. And even if you took action, you'd fall back to your bad habits until finally you notice that the answer was a lack of focus. Then describe that how you solved this problem, how it changed your life, introduce your framework, explain in brief how it works, share some case studies like this hasn't only worked for me, it has worked for this guy, this guy, this guy. Show that social proof. Then you can get into the pitch, use some scarcity urgency. So that way it's much more easier to follow this outline instead of flip-flopping between this story and then going into this customer bubble and then talking about this ending their sufferings and then distractions and emptiness. So you want to have a outline and be centered around that one big idea whenever you're writing. Next, we have a sales page, and right off the bat, one thing I'll say is this color scheme is not color scheming. Like, why is this text so small? And why is this text large and bold, but then this one is small? Like, I would assume that the readers are more interested in making 100K per year. Like, I don't think they're interested in a simple step by step process. Why are we making that thing large instead of the actual thing that they want? You can also like give your process a name, you can thingify it, that will be much more appealing. And I don't think this part adds anything to the main message. Like if someone is coming to this page, I would assume like they're already sold on the concept of being a coach. Like you don't need to convince them on the potential of a coaching business if someone is on this page already. And what is this wording? The grammar is not grammaring, bro. You can't just plug in phrases like, do you relate to any of this? And I was in the exact same spot and I know what you're thinking, and expect the copy to convert if the grammar and more importantly, the research is poor. Like we are selling them on the concept of online coaching and the power of internet. I don't think that's the angle we should go for, because if someone is looking to become a coach and they're on this page, they're already sold on this concept of coaching and on this business model. I don't think we need to sell them on that again. Instead, they need to be sold on your system. Like why is your system unique, what makes it different, and will it work for them? So that should be the angle for this, I would assume. So you got to fix that and the grammar first. So the three biggest mistakes I've noticed in most of the submissions are trying to be clever instead of being clear. And the second one, which ties into this first one, is that being too vague instead of being specific. And the third one, which applies specifically to YouTube, is the flow and rhythm. So these are the three common mistakes most beginner copywriters make. Fix that and maybe we'll do another copy review session soon.